Howdy, I'm Karen, the dyer behind Round Table Yarns, and I just wanted to take a couple of minutes to talk to you about how I entered the fiber arts world and how Round Table Yarns was started. So I started knitting either in late 2004 or early 2005. I know it was that academic year because it was my first year of graduate school working on my PhD in medieval literature. And I wanted to find something to do with my time that was a bit of stress relief. My hobby up to that point had always been reading, but I was doing so much reading in graduate school that I really wanted to have something else to do with my time. So I was in Target one day and a book caught my eye, and I still have the book. It is the Stitch and Bitch book. Perhaps some of you are familiar with it. And I thought, knitting, that's something I could do. And so I went ahead and bought the book, read the first few pages, and went to one of those big box craft stores and bought some yarn and needles. I hadn't yet discovered that there was a truly amazing local yarn store in the town that I lived in. It was really exciting when I did discover that. And I proceeded to teach myself how to knit. And I've always thought of myself as kind of an adventurous knitter. If there's a project that I liked, I didn't care if the skills were things that I already knew how to do. I would do the project and then learn that particular skill as I was working on it. But other areas of the fiber arts, I wasn't quite as adventurous. And in fact, there were things that I told myself that I never wanted to do. For example, I told myself I never wanted to learn how to spin. And then I tried it and fell madly in love, and I started doing a lot of spinning. And I still consider myself very much a spinner as well as a knitter. The same thing with dyeing yarn. I told myself, I love indie dyed yarn. I discovered those independent dyers bought a lot of indie dyed yarn, and that's my cat back there. Her name is Guinevere. Bought a lot of indie dyed yarn, but I told myself that I never wanted to actually do the dyeing. Then I had a friend give me a bag of undyed yarn. She thought that I could use it for swatching. I'm also a knitting designer, so I do lots of swatching. And I looked at this bag of undyed yarn, and all I could think was, this yarn needs color. So I bought a starter kit of acid dyes. I skipped the food safe dyes, food coloring, and Kool-Aid, and went straight to acid dyes, a big jug of vinegar, and I started dyeing. I think there were about 10 skeins of yarn in that bag, and I finished dyeing them in just a couple of days, fell madly in love with adding color to yarn, wanted to play with more, and so that's how I started dyeing. And decided that since I was designing patterns, it would be nice to kind of have a complementary business selling the hand-dyed yarn. And so that's what I did. With my patterns, I actually use my background in medieval literature and name the patterns after mostly characters found in medieval literature. And then, like I said, my cat's name is Guinevere. I also have two other cats, Merlin, and then Samwise Gamgee, so a little Lord of the Rings there. So I named my patterns after characters from medieval literature, and I thought that I wanted to do something similar with the yarn. My area of specialization and my biggest love in medieval literature is Arthurian literature, so stories of King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table. So when I was thinking about that, the name Round Table Yarns just popped into my head, and I thought, that's it. That is what I want to do. And then I can name all of the bases and the colors based on characters and places and events and quotes from the stories. And so that's how Round Table Yarns got started, and why it has that name, and why the Colorways have all the names that they do. And this way it allows me to still use that background in medieval literature and to do the thing that I love most, to share those stories with other people. So for each colorway name, you'll find the story behind the name, both on the website as well as on the label itself. It's on the inside of the label, so you actually have to get the yarn and take the label off, and you can read the story behind the colorway name on the inside of the label. So that is how I discovered knitting and yarn, and how I started Round Table Yarns. So thank you so much for visiting this website and watching this video, and I hope that you have fun on your quest. Bye.